And we have forms over there. Nice. So between now and the end of this event, yeah, please go over there, drop off your $50. I am pleased that our first speaker is our Republican State Party Chair, Senator David Hand. I've known David for more than a decade, been a neighbor of mine, and I've enjoyed his passion that he has had for this particular area, for the state of Minnesota, and for the Republican Party. So, Senator Hand.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Gary. Gary has been a help to me and others out here in the western suburbs for a long, long time, and thanks for stepping up to do this. And we want to also thank you all for being here, but we also mostly want to thank our candidates. Marla, who is hosting this, thank you. And we've got Ryan Chase and Thomas Connect, who are also running in District 49. And I know there are other candidates here as well. But I want to mention Marla in particular. She's running for Senate, as you probably know. I was the senator from this area for 14 years. And I know some of you. But a lot of you I don't know, which is a very good thing, which tells me that means there's a lot of new people who are interested in what the Republican Party is doing and what Marla is doing. And I want to also just to reiterate what Gary said. We need to raise money. Marla needs to raise money. If you have not made your PCR donation, please do it. Do it for a candidate, or if you don't have a candidate that you want to donate to the state party. $50, you get it back. It's a short-term loan. And anything you can do to help us raise that money will be great. We are facing a great opportunity this fall. We have got the first chance in about 60 years to govern the state. If we elect our statewide candidates, our governor, our secretary of state, our auditor, our attorney general, and if we keep the majority in the Senate and elected majority in the House, we will have a governing body, governing majority in the state of Minnesota. That hasn't happened since Harold Levander. Probably nobody knows who Harold Levander is. Maybe a couple. Yeah, well, that's how long it's been. That's how long it's been since Republicans have governed this state. And this year is the year to make that happen. The Democrats are doing everything they can to give us this election. And all we need to do is stay focused and talk about how bad an economy they've left us with, and what a terrible job they've done with our public safety, and a terrible job they've done with our education in this state. Those are the things that they are completely responsible for, the failures in those areas. And our candidates are offering strong, positive solutions that people in this state want and need to have. So, thank you for your willingness to be here. Encourage you to get out and help them door knock, help them raise money, whatever you can do to help them. It's a lonely job being a candidate. And I don't know, Jerry, who I'm supposed to introduce or hand this off to next. To you?
You can hand it back to me.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you, Marla, for hosting this.
Thank you so much, Senator Hand. I also want to mention, any of you familiar with Alpha News? So in the back there, we are streaming live with Alpha News. Thank you so much for showing up. Appreciate that very much. As you know, we've got two people that are running for House District, and I'm going to ask Ryan Chase to come on up and talk to you a little bit about who Ryan is.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I can be pretty quick because David really covered my area. The three areas that I'm really concerned about are the economy, public safety, and education. My background is about 15 years in corporate accounting, finance and accounting. It's budgeting. It's discussing what we need to invest in, and then holding all those people accountable that are spending that money. So I think I got a great background in that. Public safety, it's a lot of discussions. We need to have local city discussions. We need to have county, and we have to make some changes at the state level. So that's what I'm committed to, is talking to whoever I need to get this crime issue under control again. Then finally, education. My two sons are running around over here enjoying the ice cream. So thank you, Marla, for putting that on. They love ice cream. It's just so important. We need to educate, not indoctrinate. We need to get back to math, reading, writing, history, the real history, and it just needs to happen. Otherwise, we're going to have problems, and we don't want that. So let's get back focused on that. again, I'm Ryan Chase, excited to be running first time here, and just thank you for all the support that I've been given. Thanks to my in-laws for joining us here, and my wife for being willing to let me go, for something that I've got a little bit of passion for. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. 49B, we have our candidate, Thomas Connect. Thomas over here.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Marla, for having us. And my name is Thomas Connect, and I'm running in 49B. That's in Eden Prairie. That's essentially everything below Highway 5. Then when 5 merges with 212, it just follows 212 all the way up. Now, a bit about me, I grew up on a small farm, and my dad did construction. My mom cleaned houses. She stayed at home for a few years to raise me and my brother and take care of the animals. Then she went back to work as a cook as I was going to college there to help pay for school. And for me, growing up between the farm work and the construction, I realized if I didn't want to get my rear end chewed up my whole life, I better go to school. So I went to college. My freshman year in college coincided with the 2007-2008 financial crisis. And then, to me, everyone I knew worked in the housing industry. And I wanted to know what happened and why it happened. So I double majored in political science and economics. And that summer, I volunteered in my first political campaign. I always kept one foot in that world. Ended up going on, went to grad school, and then ended up going to law school there. And now, I was practicing law on the East Coast. In short, as you may or may not be able to tell, I'm not from Minnesota originally, but I fell in love with a girl and then fell in love with Minnesota. And then, there we go, yeah, I appreciate that. And then now that I'm here, I grew up on a farm, I played hockey my whole life, and I'm Swedish and German. So if I don't fit into Minnesota with that background, I don't think I'd fit in anywhere. In terms of what we're trying to do, everything we're experiencing in this state, we're experiencing rising crime, rising prices, and changes to education that are leaving some students behind. Now I'm running because I want to prioritize public safety, cut living costs, and ensure educational excellence. What I'm finding when we go out door knocking every single day, besides Sunday, is that folks want to vote Republican. They're tired of the same old and the same policies and the same results. And we're going to change that this year, up and down the ballot. Great to see Jim Schultz here. So obviously, we need an attorney general that's going to take crime seriously. And same for Hennepin County Attorney with Tad Jude, trying to get us back on track. Because right now on the public safety front, we have prosecutors who aren't enforcing the laws. They're not prosecuting criminals. It's catch and release policies, and we need to change that. In terms of a living costs front, the Federal Reserve has come out with a study saying that both federal and state spending has contributed to rising prices. Yet what did we see this spring? The DFL House proposed over $7 billion in additional spending, fueling the flames of inflation. That's not what we need, and that's not helping hardworking Eden Prairie families or any families in Minnesota. And then finally on the school front, I was the first person in my family to go to college. For me, if it was up to me, I would have been in the NHL. After playing for a while, the coaches said I had hands like concrete and skated like Bambi. So I was like, well, I guess school, that's it. So after that, so for me, education, it transformed my life. So when I hear stories and I'm talking to parents of how their kids, they're still at the same reading level that they were 2 years ago. Or they're not learning the math skills because of these political agendas are invading the classroom. We can't have that. Now in the 21st century global economy, we need to be raising educational standards, not dumbing them down. And that should be a nonpartisan issue. So we want to make sure that we put students first. I'm going to repeat that, students first, not any special interests first, and get Minnesota back on track. So thank you. We'd love to have your support for all the candidates, and go get some ice cream. So thank you. One question, yeah?
Thanks for the shout out for Jim Schultz and Tad Jude. Remember, you got to vote for those candidates in the primary on August 9th.
August
Tell
9th.
all your friends.
Three.
Yeah.
Three of them, tell them.
Three of them. Yeah. Also, Jai Hansen, who's running for sheriff also.
Repeat that one more time. So on August 9th, is the primary.
Jim Schultz for Attorney General.
Jim Schultz for Attorney General.
Jai Hansen for Sheriff.
Jai Hansen for Sheriff.
And Tad Jude for County Attorney.
And Tad Jude for County Attorney. Everyone's going to remember that. And we'll see you on August 9th. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. We also have a national election. Now I'd like to have our Tom over here, Tom Weiler. He's going to come up and talk a little bit about Congressional District 3.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Keep clapping. Actually, whoever claps the loudest gets this brand new submarine that says Weiler for Congress. So make some noise. Let's make sure the Democrats hear us. This girl's sorry. She's clapping loud. There you go. All right. Well, first off, thank you to Marla for putting this together. Obviously a great turnout, and thank you very much for the ice cream. My kids are on their way. I was over at the Mound parade this morning, and then there was a festival. So my kids were in the parade, and then they went home, and they said, "No, we're done with politics this week." And then I said, "I think there's ice cream at the next event," and so they're on their way here. But no, real quick, thank you for allowing me to address the crowd here. For me, and I think for all of us here, this election is about the future of our country. Fundamentally, the Democrats want to redefine the American dream at all levels, local, state, and the federal level. And what does that mean? That means they want to turn the United States from the land of opportunity to a land of entitlement. They want to have, instead of parents parenting, they're looking for bureaucrats to dictate what they're taught in school. Instead of having borders, they want no borders. And instead of having the rule of law govern, they're into mob rule. And all that is unacceptable to us, and the time is now to turn the ship around. And when my last trip in Washington, D.C., the actual poll came out that the governor's race in Minnesota is a toss-up. And that got the people in Washington, D.C. talking, and they know that the red wave's coming to the state of Minnesota, and the hunt for the red November is on its way here in the state of Minnesota as well. But now let's focus on the lead here today, and that's Marla, of course. She's running in an incredibly important district, and it's personal for me. I grew up in Eden Prairie, and about every third voter in Eden Prairie is a Weiler as well. So definitely go out and do some door knocking for Marla. You're definitely going to run into a Weiler if you do, and they're all on board Team Marla as well. So get out there, fundraise for her, knock on doors, and I grew up in Eden Prairie. My family still lives there, and it's at its root, that is a conservative district. The conservative Republican Midwestern values is strong there, and it has no business, just like the 3rd district overall, but Eden Prairie specifically, I know it well. Obviously, it has no business being on the blue side right now. So this race is there for Marla. Let's make sure we support her. Again, door knock, fundraise, spread the word. Everyone here, go home and tell 10 of your neighbors about Marla and how she's going to turn the ship around in Eden Prairie. Thank you very much. Go Marla.
Thank you so much, Tom. To the west of us is Carver County, and we are fortunate that we have our State Senator Julia Coleman here.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Senator Julia Coleman. I do represent Senate District 47, running in the new Senate District 48, representing Carver County, and I was actually the first reporter Alpha News ever had, so I should probably be on my best behavior today. You're probably wondering, why am I here? I'm not on the ballot here, and I'll tell you why. I'm here because when I was elected as the youngest woman ever to the state Senate, and I waddled in pregnant with twin boys, I didn't know what I was going to expect. But I knew that I wanted to fight for and be a voice for growing families in the suburbs, for moms walking in my shoes. And I walked into an old boys club. Not nefarious, not misogynistic, it's just the way the election shaped up. It was me and a bunch of dudes. And they listened. They had compassion, they had empathy to the struggles that moms and dads are facing growing their families today. And when I brought forth things that mattered to women my age, they listened. They helped me champion those goals. They helped me market our values to the next generation of voters. But I'm here today because if the Republican Party wants a chance, I can't be that only voice anymore. If the Republican Party wants to grow, wants to stop that blue tumor around the Twin Cities from continuing to metastasize into the suburbs, I can't be that voice solo any longer. And the number of Republican women due to redistricting and retirement, it's being slashed in half this election. My voice is going to be getting even smaller. I'm here today because if there were ever a year and there were ever a candidate in this district, it is this year and it is this candidate. I am here today because the very first time I ever spoke with Marla Helseth, we connected on being moms, on knowing the struggles moms are facing, and being so passionate about finding a way to not compromise on our values, but to find a way to take those values and spread them to young women, to spread them to millennials, to spread them to moms in the suburbs, to say that that tumor that's metastasizing into the suburbs, we are the chemotherapy for it, we are the radiation, and we are sending it back. I am here today, not knocking in my own seat like I could be doing and I was doing earlier today. I am here today because I believe in Marla Helseth. I am here today because I need her voice in the state Senate. The state of Minnesota has been saved by the Republicans holding the state Senate these last couple of years. When you go to the gas pump, we blocked a gas tax increase that would adjust with inflation. When you go to pay taxes, we blocked tax increases. We eliminated the Social Security tax and lowered taxes for every Minnesotan. We sent that bill to the House and the Democrats held it hostage unless we spent $4 billion, unless we defunded our police, unless we supported critical race theory in our schools. Thank God for the Republican-held Senate. And with your help and your dollars, give till it hurts, not till your feet are bleeding. Call voters, talk to your friends until your voice is hoarse. With your help, if we can get candidates like Marla Helseth in the state Senate, if we can get candidates up and down the ballot, then we will be saying thank God for the Republican-held state Senate, thank God for the Republican-held House, thank God for Governor Jensen, and thank God for Marla Helseth in the Senate. I am here today because we need the one and only Marla Helseth.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was a great speech. I just ditto everything she said and everything other candidates have said. We need Republicans in office. Forgive me, but I have to have my speech on my phone because I don't want to hold my papers and so they don't blow away. But a lot of you I haven't met, which is great. I'm super happy to be here, super happy to be in this area. Thank you all for being here, and I'm really glad that the sun is out. I'm honored to be with you today. I am Marla Helseth, and I'm running for the state Senate in Minnetonka and Eden Prairie. Very happy to be doing so. Thank you, thank you. It's really fun to be at Shady Oak Beach. My husband grew up in the Glen Lake area and tells stories to our kids about the scary diving board at Shady Oak Beach, and my daughter experienced that the other day. She's here. Greta is my daughter, she's 15. But I've been door knocking in this area, and I have to say, I first decided to run for Senate. When I first decided, lots of people were telling me, talking about door knocking, and I thought, they said it sounded kind of frightening. I thought it sounds like a great thing to do. I love meeting people. I love meeting strangers. And I have some really great stories. Just to start off my speech, I just want to let you know my experiences about door knocking in this area and in Eden Prairie. So I was really looking forward to it. My very first door that I knocked on, I was there for 20 minutes. So if you know anything about door knocking and anything about politics, That's really long. Yeah, you're really not supposed to. Senator Karen Housley said to me, as well as everybody else, you really need to move faster. I didn't know that. She invited me in, we were just chatting. She asked if I wanted something to drink. So anyway, I move much faster now. I picked up the pace and I met some wonderful people. I met a woman named Mona who was married to her husband John for 70 years. I thought that was amazing. Praise the Lord for that kind of a witness to your kids and grandkids. One nice lady, well, I skipped this one. I met two men who have answered the door in their underwear. One nice lady, when I said I was the endorsed Republican candidate, she said, "Oh, hallelujah." And another gentleman, when I introduced myself, I told him what I was running for, that I was running for the Senate. And he said, "Oh, I've been a Democrat my whole life. You got my vote." Did I say I was a Democrat? And he said, "Didn't you?" No, I didn't. So I've had a lot of experiences like that, but it's been great. I've been really enjoying meeting the people. I think that's a delicious story because I just love upending people's expectations. So knocking on doors has served its purpose because I am hearing what's on people's minds as they think about the issues of the day and about how our government is doing. Record high inflation, of course, is on many people's minds. The fact that everyday things are unaffordable. The increase in crime is an issue. An Eden Prairie woman told me that someone broke into her garage while she was home, and she heard them because they had dropped her husband's toolbox. And two sets of grandparents and someone just today, when I got here, told me that they are concerned about what their grandchildren are being taught in school. And they told me that they think, when I pressed them, these grandparents at the door told me they think there is too much emphasis on race and identity distinctions and not enough on literacy and critical thinking, and I agree with them. Absolutely. These are the three reasons, just like the other candidates, these are the three reasons I'm running for the state Senate. Each of these issues, crime, the economy, curriculum, and education, can be linked, I think, to poor leadership and the ideologically driven agendas of the Democratic Party. It's time for a new perspective. It's time for new ideas, new leadership, and it's time for a changing of the guard in Minnesota politics. So, for a little bit of background about me, I come from a multi-ethnic family that is familiar with adversity, but also keenly aware of the opportunities and freedoms that our country has. My African-American grandfather married my Italian grandmother in the 1940s in Illinois, when interracial marriage was legal, but it was not welcome much anywhere else. So they endured real racism, but my grandfather went on to become the first black plumber in his small town of Batavia, Illinois, and he was one of the best at his job. He didn't let any of those attitudes stop him. My parents met and married in suburban Chicago. My father passed away when I was 2, so my 5 siblings and I were raised primarily by my single mom, which is something I admire her for. She set an example in how she provided for us and in her refusal to be pitied. We moved to Minnesota when I was 10, and I've been here ever since. Because there wasn't money for college, I worked as a model after graduating from high school, very intellectually challenging job, and moved eventually into restaurant management. And now I'm married to my great husband, Paul Helseth, and we have 2 kids, Greta and Benjamin. Benjamin is 12. He's in Alaska with Paul right now. Greta is 15. And after they were in school for a while, I worked as a teacher at their school, which I really enjoyed. So what inspired me to run for the state Senate? Sorry, I hope this isn't too long, but it wasn't that I was wanting to be a career politician. Since the onset of COVID, I watched the policies of our national and state governments lead to a loss of personal freedoms, a growing sense of financial insecurity, and real concerns about public safety. In addition, the last few years, we've seen law enforcement demonized, which has contributed to a fear of police and created a heightened racialized atmosphere that was particularly maddening to me, a black person who has a vastly different perspective on some of these issues than the politicians who currently represent me. So I was inspired to run for the Senate because I want to bring a different perspective into Minnesota politics. I've been asked what differentiates me from my opponent, Senator Steve Swinsky. Well, aside from the obvious, I'm different from my opponent in that I don't support 100% of the time everything the DFL supports. I'm not tethered to any special interests. And when the opportunity presents itself, I intend to push back on wasteful government spending. Our representatives in Minnetonka and Eden Prairie and our governor say they want diversity and inclusion, yet our Senate and House representatives all vote overwhelmingly with the DFLers in their caucus, even though this district is a centrist swing district. I believe true diversity and inclusion means more than just diversity of skin color. Lives are improved and families strengthened when a state legislature is composed of people with different perspectives and varying backgrounds that are all working toward a common goal. I believe my unique background and perspective will strengthen our legislative body, and I can assure you it will be a different perspective than what we're hearing from our current representatives. I love, just as you do, the foundational idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that undergirds our Constitution. Our system of government is not perfect, but it is a unique system of checks and balances that is meant to serve its citizens, not control them, and sustain our rights, not create them. And this system of government, this United States and this great state of Minnesota is worth fighting for. I'm running for public office to bring a new perspective, new energy, and new vision to our Minnesota legislature, and to return government's focus back to its priorities, which are funding law enforcement and keeping people safe, supporting high standards of education and more educational choice, and fighting for policies that encourage economic growth. My name is Marla Helseth, and I'm excited to serve the people of Minnetonka and Eden Prairie as your next senator. I would be honored to have your support and your vote, and the other candidates as well. They would love your support. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
What a great candidate. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got a state auditor candidate, Ryan Wilson. Come on up, Ryan.
Thank you, and thank you for coming out. What a speech to follow, huh? Let's hear it again for Marla. So, I'm Ryan Wilson. I'm running for state auditor. I'm going to answer the question for you all and for all Minnesotans, where is your money going? Says he doesn't know, it's true. So we're gonna figure out where the $73 billion in COVID funding went, where the $100 million in daycare fraud went. We're gonna figure out where all of this money is going, answer these questions that people don't know. But in order to fix that, we're gonna need good legislators in the Senate and the House to be able to fix these problems. So we need to get them elected, and these suburbs are where our races and all the races are gonna be make or break. So thank you for coming out. This energy is great. We're seeing this all around the metro, all around the state, and this is what it's going to take to win this election. One quick note here. One of the new tactics of the DFL is to try to demonize all Republicans as being extreme. That's their new code word, extreme. They're extreme. Is what you guys just heard here extreme? Is wanting safer cities and better schools, is that extreme? No. And so that's what we stand for. That's what we as Republicans are going to bring when we take back Minnesota, when we show them what it means not to be extreme, but to be Minnesotans, and to bring back our state to what it's been, to what it can be, and move it forward to where we want it to be, a place where our kids can go to school and they can learn reading and writing and arithmetic, where people can go to a Twins game without being afraid that their family is going to be hurt. And we all play an important role in that. Right? The legislators, they're going to pass laws, and they're going to make sure that money's appropriated and that the laws are strict and hard. And as state auditor, one of the things we're going to do is make sure that the money that's appropriated for these programs is going to where it's supposed to go. So when cities are supposed to be spending money on law enforcement, that money's going to law enforcement. When parents want to know when their school referendums and their school spending is it going into the classroom or is it going to bureaucracies? What is it being spent on? What kind of things are their tax dollars being used for? And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring transparency. We're going to bring accountability back to government, and we're going to answer the question, where did the money go? So thank you for having me here. Please support all the candidates, especially these local races. Again, we can't door knock the state. We can't lip drop the state. But together, when we partner with all the House and all the Senate candidates, we can bring Minnesota back, and we can win back the legislature. We can win back all these statewide offices, and we can really bring Minnesota back to what we know it can be. So thank you. I'm Ryan Wilson. I'm running for state auditor.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Another important candidate is Attorney General, and I'm pleased to have Jim Schultz.
So I've got probably an hour or two here, right? Is that right? Is that right?
Fire Ellison.
That's right. The Fire Ellison. That's right. That's right. Yes, my name is Jim Schultz, and I'm running in this race to ensure that Keith Ellison, the most reckless and extreme Attorney General Minnesota has ever had, ends his time in office in January 2023. I have to say, I've been traveling the state, everywhere from Bemidji, we're up to Ely this coming week, down to Albert Lee, everywhere. Done a lot of driving. We drove up to Brainerd the other night. It was a 2-hour drive, and I felt like it went by like that because because I've been driving so much. This one's easier. I live just like 3 miles up the road, so this is like the shortest commute I've had for months on end. But we're in this race to ensure that we win. We have to win for the future of our state. There's so much at stake in this election. And I tell my team, failure is not an option. We have in Keith Ellison an extraordinarily extreme Attorney General. An Attorney General who has backed defunding the police. The chief law enforcement officer of our state who has backed defunding the police. While there's 100 murders in Minneapolis, 650 carjackings, crime and violence bleeding out to the suburbs and the rest of the state. That is unacceptable. Minnesotans deserve better. You deserve better. Your friends and your family, folks in greater Minnesota, folks in the metro, every color, every creed, every Minnesotan deserves better. I grew up in a tiny town called South Haven, Minnesota, population 186. I got my first job when I was 12 detasseling seed corn in Stearns and Sherburne County. I then went to St. Thomas for undergrad. Actually, I spent my first 2 years there in seminary before learning that God had other plans for me. I then had the opportunity to go to Harvard Law School. I met my wife out there. I found the one Republican in the state of Massachusetts. I worked really, really hard and persuaded her to marry me. I worked even harder, persuaded her to move back to Minnesota. And we together have 3 beautiful little girls. They're 6, 3, and 1. And that's why I'm in this race. For them, for my grandchildren one day, for your children and grandchildren, for the future of the state of Minnesota. There is so much at stake. In this election, we have to turn the state around because right now we're seeing people flee the state. We're seeing businesses flee the state. And if it doesn't turn around in 2022, that kind of trickle out of the state is going to be a flood tide. We have to win in 2022. And it's not just about businesses, the economy, things like that. That's important. That's incredibly important, the economy. But I will tell you that embracing policies like those that Keith Ellison has embraced, policies that have led to dead kids on Minneapolis streets, it's not just dumb, it is immoral. It is immoral to embrace policies that lead to this violence. And so we're on track to win. A poll came out a few weeks ago from a Democratic pollster that has me leading by 1 point, 44-43. And I'll tell you, though, that I don't want to win this race by 1 point. I want to win this race by 5 or more points to completely repudiate Keith Ellison and the far-left politics that he represents. And so I ask you to join with us. We have to get this done for the future of our state. As other folks mentioned, we got a primary here August 9th. I'm the Republican-endorsed candidate. I'm the candidate endorsed by police. And so please get out the word. Please tell your friends, tell your family. Come out and vote August 9th. We got to win that. And then after that, We've got to beat Keith Ellison for the future of our state. Now, I also want to say, please come out, support these local candidates. Marla, Thomas Connect, I've been friends with Thomas for a very long time. You know, fellow kids growing up, working on farms. Thomas Connect, and then, of course, Ryan Tracy. You've got great candidates in this area. I'm just outside of your district, in Senate District 45, but we have to win in these suburban areas if we're going to win statewide, and if we're going to have durable majorities in the Minnesota House and Senate. And the path to doing that is having incredible candidates like those 3 candidates I just mentioned. Just incredible candidates. And so please turn out for them. As Ryan mentioned, us statewide candidates can't knock every door. So there and you all are our boots on the ground to do that. So please join with them. Please join with all of us. We are at a critical moment for the future of our state. It's just a fact, a generational moment. We have to turn it around in 2022 if we will preserve the Minnesota that we have known and loved. So let's get it done. Please also keep us in your prayers. We all know that this isn't just a physical battle, it's a spiritual battle. So pray for us. Let's get it done in 2022. Let's beat Keith Ellison. Let's beat Tim Walz. Let's take back the House, continue having the Senate, and let's turn this state around. God bless you. Thank you very much.
What a great speech. One of the things that I was thinking about is that this is time for change, because the people that are in that job now that we hired, here, think about it this way. When they showed up for work, they were told, we've got about $9 billion extra. So we have extra money. So it's like if you went to your job tomorrow and your boss says, hey, I just talked to the CFO, we have a whole bunch of money and we can do with it whatever we want to do with it. So how about if you get your committee together and then figure out what you want to do with it? Okay, boss, I'll do that. So now comes back the next Monday, well, what did you decide? Well, we haven't figured out what we're going to do with this money. Okay, well, you better get your committee and start working on it a little bit harder. Then another week goes by. Well, you know what? Some people want to do something with it. Some people want to do something else with it. Well, how about if you kind of compromise? Because that's what we all do. I mean, we compromise with our spouses. We compromise with our kids. And this goes on. And this is the easy time. You got $9 billion to give back. It's not where we're $9 billion short. So if the people that are there can't do that, well, now it's time for a change. And that's the story that I'm telling my friends that are out there. There are 5 types of voters that you will run into. You got the hard left, the hard right, leaning left, leaning right, and the independents. So when you're out there, if you run into one of your buddies that's on the hard left, don't waste your time on that, because you're never going to change their mind. I mean, that's somebody that decided to vote for Michael Dukakis instead of Ronald Reagan. So they could run, whoever they want to, and they're going to vote for the Democrat. Don't waste your time on that. But the same token, the hard right, well, you're speaking to the choir. I mean, those are us that are here. So there, what you want to make sure that you do is get those people to go out and vote. Now, we have absolutely no reason not to vote. So it's not like it was back in the old days where you got called out of town and you didn't have the absentee ballot. We've got like a whole month that you can vote. So everybody can vote. So now you got the people that are on the leaning to the right. Those are the people that I would tell, hey, we're not in good shape at this point in time. We have high inflation. I wanted to go out and buy a car. If you price what a car is, we'll buy a used one. Well, that's even worse than what the new ones are. The price of gas. I want to buy a house. I need to have a mortgage. Well, that's like doubled. And these are realistic things that affect each and every one of us. And you pass that on to that next generation. I'm fortunate that I'm an old person or whatever, but I'm feeling bad for my kids, my grandkids, etc. So we need to do something. We need to make some changes that are out there. And that's the same story that I would give the people that are the independents. So you can say, I know that in the past you probably voted for maybe a Jesse Ventura, or maybe who knows what you voted for, but just consider moving it a little bit to the right. And then even with your Democrat friends that are leaning a little bit to the left, you can tell them, you know what, I know that last time around you supported Joe Biden and everybody else, and maybe you will in the future, but just during this time period, how about if you just think about voting for a Republican? What do you have to lose? And if it doesn't work out, you can go back to the Democrats in 2 years from now. So that's kind of my story. You have to come up with your own story on that. We want to thank everybody for coming out. I have not heard from Scott Jensen's people. Is he on his way? Okay, so you have one of two choices. You can leave now. Do we have any ice cream left?
More ice cream.
We have more ice cream, and you can hang out here and you can talk to these nice, wonderful, conservative people that are all here.
Wait, Gary, can I say one thing?
Yes.
I just wanted to add to what you said. Don't totally give up on your Democrat friends, because now is the perfect time to try and persuade them that maybe you should vote differently this time. I've run into a lot of Democrats, hardcore Democrats, door knocking, but some of them, when they find out I'm a Republican, one gentleman said, "Can I give you my card? Will you email me? I'm going to vote for you." And it was because of the economy. He had voted Democrat his whole life. I've had two people say that, because two people at doors saying, "I'm a Democrat, but I'm voting different this time." So don't totally give up. Spend a few minutes trying to persuade your friends who are hardcore Democrats to think about the issues. They must have something going on in their lives that would make them want to consider a change in Minnesota politics. So if they think about the issues, they'll probably be persuaded. So don't give up on them. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, I appreciate it. Have some ice cream?
Yeah, the Democrats, they're seeing the same problems that everybody
that's
else
the
is.
thing.
So there's nothing,
Right,
you
they're
know,
having the same
they're
problems.
having the same issues.
Right,
We're supposed to get some pictures. Drake says we need some Marla pictures.
okay. Oh, thank you. Is that from you?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Can I give this?
One of the reasons they're cool.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Robert.
I will see you in the center.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Working hard, yeah.